When multiplying and dividing rational expressions, the first thing we want to do is factor both the numerator and the denominator. In this example, I can take out a common term of an x, and I'm left with x plus 7. I can't factor anything out of x squared. The next step that we're going to do is divide out any common factors to both the numerator and the denominator. Well, the only thing that's common are the x's. So I can subtract this x from this x. My final answer is x plus 7 divided by x. I can't reduce these two x's because that x plus 7 is a binomial and it has to stay together. Here's another example. The first step is to factor. So we'll factor the top part, which factors with x minus 5x plus 3. The denominator, the difference of two squares, factors with x minus 3, x plus 3. And now we're going to divide any common factors. Well, we can see x plus 3 divided by x plus 3 is 1. These aren't the same, so we can't reduce it anymore. This stays x minus 5 over x minus 3. Cannot reduce these x's right here because these are binomials and they have to stay together. There's our final answer. You try this one. Factor first and then reduce. And come back and check your answer. Well, now we're going to multiply. So the first step that we want to do is multiply the numerators and then multiply the denominators. And then we'll do the step that we just did. We'll simplify it. I'll do example 5. 12 times 5 is 60. X to the 4th times x squared is x to the 6th. Y times y to the 5th is y to the 6th. And now the denominator. 2 times 6 is 12. There's 1x. X cubed times, y cubed times y is y to the 4th. And now we can simplify here. So we have 12 goes into 60 5 times. We subtract this x from the x's on top, and we're left with 5 x's on top. 6 minus 1 is 5. And then with the y's, we can subtract these 4 y's from these 6 y's, and we're left with 2 on top. Everything from the bottom has been canceled out, and our final answer is 5 x to the 5th y squared. That's our final answer. You try example 6 and then come back and check your answer. Now we have one that gets just a little bit more complicated. Remember, we want to factor first. So everything we're going to factor. I'm going to take out a common term out of here. That means I can take out a 3x, and I'm left with 1. Remember, 3x divided by 3x is 1. 3x squared divided by 3x is just x. I can divide, I can multiply across, but I have to factor it. So I'm going to factor this with x plus 5, x minus 4. Now I have the denominator. I can factor this with x plus 5, x minus 1. And this is 3x. I can't simplify that anymore. Now these are all multiplied together. The numerators are multiplied across, the denominators are multiplied across, and now I can divide common factors. Here's x plus 5 and x plus 5 on the bottom. That equals 1. Now we have 3x and 3x. 3x divided by 3x is 1. Now we've got something a little bit different here. There's a 1 minus x on top and an x minus 1 on the bottom. These aren't the same. We have to do something to make them the same. If I divide away a negative 1 out of this, that's going to leave me with, that's going to flip it around, x minus 1. That'll make the negative, it'll make 1 divided by negative 1 is negative 1, and negative x divided by negative 1 is positive x. Now I have something that I can cancel out. X minus 1 divided by x minus 1 is 1. And I've already dealt with that. So let's see what I have left over. I have the negative 1 from here. I have the x minus 4 from here. X minus 4. And there's my final answer, or if I go ahead and distribute the negative, negative x plus 4. And there's my final answer. You try this one. Factor first, and then divide. Common factors from the numerator and the denominator. And come back and check your answer. Let's divide now. The first thing we're going to do is to flip the second expression. Remember, dividing a fraction is easy as pie. Flip the second and multiply. That's the rule we're going to use here. But remember, we want to factor first. So make yourself a note to factor first. So, the first part factors with x minus 7x plus 3. I can factor the denominator here by taking out a 5. I'm left with x plus 3. Now remember, I want to multiply and flip the fraction. X squared minus 100 factors with x minus 10, x plus 10, and x squared plus 3x minus 70 factors with x plus 10, x minus 3. Or how about 7? Now let's see if we can divide. These are all multiplied across. This is the same thing as saying this. And now we can see if we can divide top to bottom. I see that I have an x minus 7 on top here and an x minus 7 here. I have an x plus 3 here and an x plus 3 on bottom here. I have an x plus 10 here and an x plus 10 on the bottom here. Now let's see what I'm left with. I'm left with this 5 on the bottom and this x minus 10 on the top. So my final answer is x minus 10 over 5. I cannot reduce because this is a binomial that has to stay together. You try example 11 and see if you get the same answer I got.